Alright, Path of Exile players, let's go over key critical things that you absolutely, definitely want. If you want to progress in this game, these are basically essential things that you need. And if you did get the early access beta to Path of Exile 2, like myself, you're already going to have currency. So this is basically, in a sense, it's free. You technically bought into the early access, so you already have that currency. But these are things that you absolutely want if you want to get ahead of the game and basically be able to interact with trade. I'm going to be straight up with you guys. Path of Exile is a free game. However, there are like two things that you absolutely do need. And I want to go over them and kind of show you them visually, because you can click on some of these things, but they don't really show you that much. So like I have like screenshots over here of the actual like tabs. So this way you guys can get a better understanding of what you're actually getting. I wish they had kind of like another like preview option here, but I want to go over the critical ones that you want, and I'll show you kind of what they do, as I already have some of these. So if you already bought these in Path of Exile 1, a lot of them transfer over, but not all of them. So let me go ahead and get started with the most important one. So I'm going to move my face out of the way so you guys can kind of see it. So one of the most important ones is called the currency stash tab. So just so we have kind of like a reference, if we go to the microtransaction shop, and right now it is on sale. This is not a sponsored video at all, but make sure you do not buy the guild version of whatever we're talking about, but we're just talking about the regular currency stash tab over here. So what it does is it lets you put all your currencies, and it can hold up to 5,000 of many currency types. This is one of the most important things, because your currency is something that you kind of want to separate from the items that you're trying to trade. So what we have over here, this is my currency stash tab. It also has the ability to be customized. So just like what they call in the game a premium stash tab, you can customize these. So once you get this, this is basically what it does. It holds all your currencies. So if I right click on it, I can change the color, I can change the name to whatever. And if I hit public, this lets me list the items for trade. This is also a very big thing, and that's going to be called a premium stash tab. It's going to be very, very helpful as well. But the main reason why I like this is specifically because of this affinities checkbox. So if this thing says affinities and it has the word currency, and I check this, what that will allow me to do is dump all my currency into this tab while opening up another tab. So the reason why I really like these, like I have a bunch of exalts over here, I don't really want to put these in some random tab, but this is an example of kind of what you would use the affinities for. This is really important when you're trying to progress in the game. Now this is kind of in combination with what's called the premium stash tab, but I'll explain this in a second, but I want to explain the currency stash tab first. So basically it holds all your currencies. It's pretty straightforward, but you don't always have to go into this tab, and that's what makes this affinities thing so godly. So if I have another tab opened up, this is a tab that I have where I basically dump all my things. It's called a dump tab. So what I do is I have a dump tab that I have everything listed on a trade website, but the currency here, like all these things in this little box over here, I'm trying to sell for one exalted. I legitimately don't look at the items. I identify them and I just throw them in here. It's how you can progress in the game really fast. It's also part of the reason why a lot of people don't respond, is because they just dump everything in one tab, and what they do is they let you whisper them, and then they look up the price, and if it's worth more, they just list it for a higher value. But going back to the currency, I know there's a lot to take in right here, but this is why the currency tab is so important. Again, this is with the affinities currency checked in. So while I'm progressing my map, like let's say I just finished a map, I got all these items here. Usually if I'm gonna dump my items, I would go to, let's say, Doriani, I would go identify the items, or if I'm at my hideout, whatever. But if I finish a map, I genuinely want to go back and do as many maps as possible. I want to be fast, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold control, and it's going to put all the items in this stash tab over here. Now, all of my currency will not go in here, even if I have this tab opened up. So what I do, right after I finish a map, I do this. This is what I do. I just throw everything in here, and all of the currency will go to the correct currency tab. And that's why this right here is so big. So it basically lets you go through the game a lot faster, and then if someone whispers for these items. But that is the big reason why you want the currency stash tab. It also kind of lets you see all of your stuff here, and if you need to, get in a certain item, you'll know how many exalts or how many whatever that you have, which is a big part of the reason why you definitely would want this. The other thing that I'm going to recommend is now what's called a premium stash tab. if you want to trade in Path of Exile, you do technically have this little thing over here where it's called trade, and you can see there are people listing items, and sometimes they'll say like, I'm trying to sell this, 1 exalt each, or whatever the case may be. If you're trying to list items, or you're trying to buy items, it is absolutely terrible to use this. The best way to trade is to go to the official Path of Exile website to actually trade. So I won't make this video all about trade, but I will make a dedicated video all about trade very soon. It's just because there's a lot to take in with this and there's so much to actually explain. And I want this video just to kind of focus in on the stash tabs, but I also want to explain why you want it. So if you ever are looking for an item in Path of Exile, instead of like, again, hoping that someone lists something in trade and you're like, well, is this an upgrade for me? Well, the best way is to just utilize a very specific tool that lets you go over it, and I will link that also down below. But it's much easier to say, oh, I want a body armor with maximum life, and I want cold res, I want maybe a lightning resistance, and I want to find the item, whatever, and I want to pay like 5 exalted orbs. So all of these items are essentially listed, and people aren't doing it individually, like on a forum or something, or it's super outdated. Like if you ever played Diablo 4, you have to take a screenshot. It's actually a lot easier. So the next thing we're going to be talking about as far as the microtransaction shop is what's called a premium stash tab. So once again, we'll go to the stash tabs over here, and it is on sale right now. So if you can, I would recommend to get it now. But obviously, if you're watching this video, it may be at a later time. It might not be on sale. So there is a premium stash tab and there's a regular stash tab. You just need one premium stash tab. That's all you need. Now there's another thing called a quad stash tab. This is basically 4 times the size, but it still costs more. But it's up to you and what you want. Sometimes it's easier if you are listing a bunch of items to get one quad. My recommendation, honestly, if you want to play this game, you pretty much have to have the currency stash tab and you have to have one premium stash tab. Otherwise, you're not really trading it with the game if you don't have the premium stash tab. And the reason why is if you do not have that, you cannot really engage in trade. There's also a few other ones, but I genuinely feel like most of them are kind of useless. The most important one is, again, one premium stash tab. Now, you don't actually have to buy this one. You can upgrade a current stash tab into what's called a premium. And this is 10 points, which I believe translates to $1. So like this over here, and then the currency stash tab, this translates to, I think, like $6 as far as the coins go, at least in US dollars. So you're basically spending about $7-ish bucks. And these, again, are the key critical things that you need. It's essential. So what is a premium stash tab? I've been talking a lot, but I already kind of showed you it. So what I have right here is a premium stash tab that is called a quad stash tab, but this is like a regular one here. This is what I do is like, if I want to make like a gear for my, like a ranger, and like maybe I want to make another ranger, maybe I want to go ahead and try like Pathfinder, and I'm playing Deadeye right now. Sometimes I save some of my older gear, and it lets you label it. This is what's called a premium stash tab. It lets me change the color, and then I can also put affinities in here for currency if I wanted to. But again, the currency stash tab is 1,000 times better because it organizes everything and it's like really clean. That's why I'm saying get the currency one. And then with the regular stash tab, now this was the size of a regular one. Now this one over here is a quad, so basically it is 4 times the size, but it also kind of zooms out. You know, I'll be honest, I don't really like the zoom out thing, but it's really helpful for a trade just to have one stash tab that is a premium one. So to explain how this works is, and I want to also show you guys how to like sell items. So what I'm going to do in the very beginning, so let's say it would be called in the very beginning, it would be called like, let's say 6. Okay, so this is where it would start off. So once you get your premium stash tab, and then I can right click on this and I can name it like items for sale or something like that if you wanted to. Then what you need to do next is also check this thing called public. Now if you want to list each item individually, you're going to see where it says each item individually priced. So I can go ahead and, you know, change the colors. And then if I want to be able to find out like how much I want to sell each item for, what I do is I right click on the item and then I set what's called negotiable price or exact price. What this means is, let's say I list this item and I list it for exalted orbs, which is kind of like the Chaos Orb variant of Path of Exile. People don't really trade in Chaos Orbs as much, but let's say I wanted 10, someone could go ahead and offer me a different amount, or I could set the exact price. Honestly, most of the time when you set negotiable price, people always offer you near the maximum, unless it's a super expensive item. Sometimes people will lowball you, but at the end of the day, this is basically how it interacts. So then I can go ahead and list it, and I would do this for every single item. That is super slow. I probably would not do that. So instead, I just go items for sale. I right click on this, and then I make sure the public is checked, and then I could set negotiable price on all items, and then it will default to best offer, and then let's say we want exalted orbs, because again, this is kind of like the standard in Path of Exile. So then I would put 1, and then this would change the name of it. I can manually change the name if I want to, but it will default to whatever the price is on the item, and then it'll be, you know, 1 exalted orb. You can also set this up for affinities, but I probably wouldn't really do this, to be honest, because yeah, you would usually just open up this, and again, this is basically what I would do. So like, again, just to kind of emphasize here, let's say I just finished a map, I just got all of these things, and make sure again that this is checked in, and then we're listing everything for 1 exalt. I hit this, and I just finished my map. This is why the stash tabs are what I would consider essential. It just sorts up everything, and you keep doing this again and again, and this is essentially how you build up currency. When you see people with like hundreds of exalts in Path of Exile 1 or 2, they're basically just dumping everything here. Now, I don't want to make this video too much about trade, but this is kind of why you would want a premium stash tab, and that's why you definitely need one, and I'm including it in my like Path of Exile's essential videos, because there's a lot of stuff that transfer overs from the previous Path of Exile games. Now, I was checking out some of the other ones. There are other stash tabs that if you did buy from PoE 1, like the oils that like may not transfer over, and they may transfer over later at a different time, but some of these don't exist. And to be honest, I was checking out like the unique one. I just don't feel like this is really necessary at all. Same thing with the gems one, because usually you want the highest tier of gems. But if you want lower level things, you can always just go to the trade website and just, you know, spend like, you know, just like 1 exalt, and you can get like the exact level that you need. Most of the time people don't want lower level things, but there are some sort of niche ways where like you want a lower level of a gem for like maybe the mana cost or like the stat requirements. So there is kind of a purpose to the gem one, but overall I would just say you don't need it. There's other ones for very specific like mechanics, like this one is from like Delirium over here. But I would say, again, I don't even know why there's a flask stash tab. For the most part, this is probably like irrelevant here. It's almost as useful if they made like a charm stash tab. Basically, you equip what you want, and then maybe you swap some of these out if you know that this boss does freeze, this boss does like bleed or whatever. But like, I would not say that you need any of those. So those are the 2 most important critical ones. Once again, that is the currency stash tab, and either upgrade one to a premium one or get what's called a quad stash tab, just so you can speed things up. Anyways, hopefully this guide was informative. If there's anything else that I left out that you guys think that is important, definitely let me know in the comment section below, and I'll go ahead and update like the pin. But those are the ones that you absolutely do want to buy, and I was kind of waiting to make this video, and it's perfect time because right now it is on sale. But they do sales all the time, so if you miss out on it, don't feel like, oh man, I'm never going to get it again. They do go on sale like once in a while, but I mean, that's why you subscribe to the channel, so you guys can be, you know, up to date on some of these ASAP, as it is on sale right now. But by the time some people may watch this video or your time zone, hey, if it doesn't have the ability to be on sale, don't worry, it's not that expensive. But those are the key critical ones that you definitely do want. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, peace out.